All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. This one's going to be a focus on the power of collaboration. You know, women can get together and they can do amazing things. Now, they can get together and they can destroy people too. We have that power, don't we? Have you been on the receiving end of both? This episode is, my journey of experiencing the trials and tribulations of a toxic community and what it can do to your mindset and your health. And it's juxtaposed to my story about releasing that toxic community, releasing that toxic vibe, and creating space to open up and flower and blossom into a whole nother level and vibration in an evolution in my DNA and my whole being, right? And so this episode is really about the power of women and what we can do in relationships to support, but also just in the online space. But most importantly, the experience of the face-to-face human connection with powerful, positive, uplifting women. And this is my play-by-play, the top 8 things that I learned and observed from my most recent all-women summit of women in the digital CEO space. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you resonate with any of it, definitely come find me in my DMs. Let me know. Share with us in our Burnout to All Out Facebook community. With that, I hope you guys enjoy. Hey friend, Melissa Hinault here with the Burnout to All Out podcast. I'm a former multiple 6-figure executive corporate burnout, feeling stuck in the life I built for myself. But using my corporate skills, I took to the internet and have built multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses, showing others how they can build a life they love. Now, on this podcast, I share stories of being an entrepreneur, a mom to my 3 amazing kids, and wife to my wonderful and supportive husband who supports all my wild and crazy dreams. My journey is taking grit and persistence and belief. And believe me, I'm still a work in progress that you may witness in real time, whether it's in our free Burnout to All Out Facebook community, or inside my mastermind, or even in my coaching programs, or maybe just right here on the podcast. I'm laughing and I'm crying with you. I've become a serial entrepreneur with a passion to inspire more burnouts to take the leap of faith and go all out and live out their dreams. Consider me your mentor in your head and on the go. So let's get started. You guys, I have been on such a journey the past year and a half of the highs and lows of entrepreneurship, the excitement and the wins and the mean girls who want to tear you down and can't handle your success. It has been a high and low experience. And I can tell you right now that I would not be where I am today had I not continued to find my people, had I not continued to make a concerted effort to find people who are uplifting, spend time with them, invest in being with them. And today's episode is actually a special one because it's been an interesting culmination of things just coming full circle for me. I want to say, just as kind of an undercurrent to this episode, is that women can have incredible power to lift each other up. They also have incredible negative power to knock each other down, right? And it's really our choice on which side of the fence we're going to live in. And a huge piece of it depends on personal development and your focus on how you show up, right? So in today's episode, I really want to share with you guys some insights I had from going to an all women's event. It was a summit, an event, if you will, for about 3 days out on the West Coast, the Pitch Club, the Weekend at Pitch Club, launched by Rebecca Cafiero. Really interesting how relationships evolve from being together in masterminds. She and I were actually in a mastermind together a little over 2 years ago. and have remained close friends and advocates for each other ever since. And she reached out to me when I was actually going through a pretty tough time and a struggle of just releasing a business that was not serving me. And I'll talk about this in a minute, but it had been such a negative, such a toxic experience that had just been impacting my health and my mindset for months. And I had recently just ended up not going to a leadership retreat that I was supposed to with that company. And oddly enough, I had a flight voucher and, was ready to go on a trip and didn't go, right? And when Rebecca reached out to me and she said, "Oh my gosh, this event is all about being seen. And I can't think of a better person to be a guest speaker on stage talking about being seen on LinkedIn and your attraction marketing. Will you please come out?" And it was a resounding and absolute yes. I need to be around my people, my high vibe, women in online entrepreneurship who lift each other up, right? So as the story goes, it's been interesting. I've been in a really difficult journey over the past year and a half. And at some point, I'm going to do like a full episode on it. But the bottom line is, I had joined this e-com business a little over a year ago with the goal of really helping this company grow and scale and help them sell their wine. And what I experienced when I joined the company was like nothing I've ever experienced before, of incredibly jealous women who were extremely competitive. Instead of wanting to pull the chair up and learn and collaborate, they were fear-based and jealous and did not want me to succeed because they didn't have the abundance mindset. They felt like there wasn't enough in the world. And for Melissa to come into their space was just competition. So the bottom line is, and the short story is, they made it their life's mission to make my assimilation into this company absolutely miserable. And it's crazy. And here's the thing, and I'll tell you this, and I'm going to weave this throughout my experience in this event and close out with this, but the choice is really yours, who you give your energy to, right? And I had been giving this organization and these people way too much of my energy, and it was sucking the life out of me. So when Rebecca reached out to me and said, "Come to this event, can't wait to see you, super high vibe," I was like a resounding absolutely, right? And I had ultimately come to the conclusion when she reached out to me that as I coach my clients, I'd finally come to the conclusion, this relationship with this company is incredibly toxic. It is not serving me. The vibrational energy in it is super negative. There's nothing positive coming out of this. And it's a really hard decision sometimes to decide, which means to literally to separate, right? To decide to separate myself from the company. And I did. And when I did, it was like the biggest weight lifted up off of my shoulders, again, for a whole nother podcast. But what I did was, when I severed those relationships, I was clearing a path and creating space for this new energy and high vibration and relationships that were coming my way, right? Like I said, I literally decided, cut that tie, and shifted my flight voucher to the West Coast to submerge myself with some super high vibe women. It was the best thing I ever could have done. We can sit and sulk in the space that we're in, or we can make radical changes for ourselves and who we're spending our time with. We have to take ownership of the energy we surround ourselves with. So I get to this amazing event for women in entrepreneurship, all women in service-based business. And I'm going to share my insights with you. But as we segue into this, I think this is a really good lesson and why this community and why you should find communities like this are so important. When I got there, of course, the first thing that a couple people were asking about was this wine company. Hey, what happened with that company? I got notifications that you're not promoting them anymore. What happened? And so, of course, we started to get into the conversation, and it was a juicy story. Let me tell you, it's a juicy story with a lot of corruption, attorneys involved, laws broken by the company. And it's a juicy story. People are like leaning in, asking a lot of questions. And this is when the most beautiful thing happened. And this is when you know you're in the right space. The most beautiful thing happened. And this is what upbeat, positive, powerful, but loving friends do. They stopped me in my tracks and stopped everyone who was asking me questions. Two of them grabbed me by my shoulders, rubbed my shoulders, and said, "Enough, Melissa. You're so tense and angry, and you're reliving this situation. It's a juicy story, but it's not one to tell anymore. It's in the past. This corrupt company and these corrupt people do not deserve another minute of your time. Let's talk about another juicy story where you take your biz from 7 figures to multiple 7 figures this year. Let's talk about that juicy story. Guys, ladies, only conscious women would take this kind of action. Conscious, confident, loving women who have balls to stop you in your tracks in a loving way and say, "Stop, no more. You've dumped enough. Let's move on." But the reality is so many women live in the gossip space. So I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question. Are you participating and adding to the gossip? Or are you the conscious woman who steps in and evolves into your higher self and says, "Enough. Let's move on to something more uplifting. Let's not talk about that." Guys, this group and the women I surround myself, we're here for growth. We're here for progression. We're here for upgrades in life, not drama. Not drama. Okay? My gosh, such an incredible event. Are you looking for 360-degree support in launching your online business? It is a confusing space if you're new to the industry, or even if you've been around for a while. Maybe you're looking to elevate your inner circle, in the process, elevating your income. You just might be the perfect candidate for our Burnout to All Out Mastermind. Take a listen to some of our clients who are in the program now. And if it piques your curiosity, head over to our burnouttoallout.co website and register for our masterclass today. We'll be spending 3 days unpacking the most important aspects of online business, from the front end on sales and marketing and your personal brand to the back end of operations and technology to be seen and heard online, all the way to the financial aspects of what it takes to get started and delegate in this industry. You do not want to miss this upcoming masterclass. I'm giving all the goods for free. Join us today.
Hello, my name is Michelle Foster, and I am in the mastermind and absolutely want to share with you how my identity has changed because of making the decision to join this mastermind. I now have a system within my social selling business that allows me to go up against anyone and say, "I believe in my company, I love my products, but I got it. I've got a system for you where I can help you go be great." And the support and the knowledge and the up-leveling that the mastermind has given me is really priceless, because what was my ceiling is now my floor. And I am on fire, and I wish for every one of you to feel that same energy. It's so good.
Let's get into the 8 things I learned and witnessed by being in a room with so many powerful women in the online space. Number 1 is the inspiration. How inspiring it was to be around a group of innovative, forward-thinking women who support women in a way that truly upgrades your DNA and being, really encouraging you to be your better self, just as the example that I shared with you a minute ago, right? Are you cognizantly putting yourself in rooms with people who live life even better than you do to make you a better version of yourself? Or Are you stagnant and looking around at the community and people you spend your time with and realizing they're toxic, they gossip, they're negative? My friend, that is on you. You are a reflection of the people that you surround yourself with. Tough love. Okay. And that goes to number 2, which is who you are truly is a reflection of who you spend the most time with and how they see you, right? So if you have a network of people who see you a certain way and are inflexible with your growth, you're not going to grow because you're spending so much time with them. Your reality is actually their perception of you. You need to find people who see a bigger future for you, that are rooting you on, cheering you on, not pulling you down, dimming your light because they don't want you to shine so bright, right? I walked away from this event with so many visions of where my business is headed and so excited about the relationships created. It was like an energy charge and jolt for me to be around so many women just like me from a mindset standpoint and a tenacity and ideation with their business, right? Okay. Number 3, we are in the precipice of the new female digital CEO. We're living it. We're breathing it. We are on the forefront of it. Just like the evolution of the transition at the turn of the century, when we think about Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, with that book with Napoleon Hill, so many who really were some of the most successful business people of the last century transitioned from the pioneer days to the Industrial Revolution ahead of the curve, right? The Vanderbilts, the Fords, right? Think of these big names, right? They were ahead of the curve in how to do business in the Industrial Revolution. What I'm seeing and what I am witnessing, and we are all a part of, is that there's been a pivot in the world economy. And there's a lot of businesses suffering right now, but the online space with the entrepreneur at the precipice of this is the future of business. And it was so powerful to see so many women with so many different types of businesses crushing it in the online space and masterminding in a way to share what was working for them, asking questions, having breakout tables with Q&A, evolving and learning and taking quantum leaps just by being together. Okay. Number 4, the intrapreneur that's being created, due to the microeconomy of the entrepreneur and the digital CEO. So let me restate that. What we're seeing is a booming industry of what we call intrapreneurs who support the entrepreneur who's scaling as a digital CEO. What we're seeing is there's this whole new niche of business needs in the online space where these businesses are scaling and they're not so big that they need a full-time attorney, but they're big enough and moving enough cash. There's a lot of risk and they need a part-time attorney. There's a lot of money running through the business. They can't just have a bookkeeper. They need someone to be able to forecast their P&L and their revenue and what they can invest. Therein lies the birth of the virtual CFO share. I have many business partners who we share the same CFO. And so what I'm finding is that the digital CEO era is creating a whole new industry of intrapreneurs who have traditionally worked in bricks and mortar. And with the shift in where our world has gone and how we do business, we are literally creating new business models for traditional business. One of the attorneys who was there has her own firm that serves corporate, but she's launched another business to serve business owners in the online space. One of my dear friends and my attorney who's in the mastermind with me, I'm going to see next week, she has the same thing, a virtual legal platform to serve online entrepreneurs. So it's really incredible. I'll just state again, the birth of the intrapreneur that comes from traditional bricks and mortar services that are now servicing the digital CEO. It's incredible. And if you're listening to this and you have traditional skill sets in bookkeeping, finance, legal, you could, my friend, launch a virtual business and supporting people like me, right? Number 5, we need human connection, guys. The face-to-face in the world of the digital CEO is so important. I hadn't been to a live event since October of last year. And I think that is what got me a little bit into a dark hole with my mindset, because I'd been dealing so much with the negativity of this wine company between their corporate and their consultants who were incredibly jealous and trying to tear me down, along with their corporate trying to own me, trying to tell me what I could and couldn't do on social media by being in business with them, literally trying to tell me what to do, even though I was my own brand in business in my own right. Long story short, my legal team and I changed their legal policy, and now they can all thank me that they can run 2 businesses on the same social platform, but not worth my time and not worth the toxicity. But my point in all of this is that I was finding myself, I was home over the holidays. Our whole family got COVID. My girls' trip to Mexico got canceled because of it. And I was starting to feel really isolated in my space as an entrepreneur, even though I see my team and I see my clients through Zoom. Nothing replaces sitting down, having coffee with a friend and a hug and a smile and that energetic connection, dancing, singing, hanging out at the pool. So much business was discussed over cocktails and floating in the water, right? And the human connection is so important. We are desiring it tremendously. And so I had a massive vision during our breath work and meditation that it is time for me to launch my very first Burnout to All Out event. I'm going to be doing it in September. I already have my mastermind, and we're going to be doing a live event at my house. It's going to be exclusive just to my mastermind members. But I had the most profound epiphany that I needed to get my Burnout to All Out community together, face to face, with human connection, with hugs, with dancing, with development, with growth. And so call me on it. We will be hosting a live event in September because human connection, face to face, really is important. Okay, number 6, don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. Be inspired with what you see at these events. I was thinking about it while I was there before I went on stage and started to tell my story. Just 2 years previous, I attended an event like this where my business was just an idea. It was just an idea. And I fast forward 2 years later, and I'm the girl on stage coaching and telling my story of scaling a business. It's really mind-blowing to envision what can happen in 2 years. But I also want you to know that every person on a stage that you hear their success story, know that you're listening to their middle and you may be in your beginning. So be inspired by their story. Don't be intimidated or defeated. Be inspired. I told my story of making $1,200 my first year launching my coaching business because I want to be relatable to the brand new entrepreneur, right? Number 7, 2 more to go. You are constantly investing in learning if you are an entrepreneur. What I've realized is as an employee, when I was done with college, I was done with college beyond any random training corporate mandated that I do. But as an entrepreneur, especially in the online space, in order to stay ahead of the curve, to stay relevant with cutting edge, you must be constantly investing and learning. And that's what these women were doing. It was a paid event and they were all there to learn, and they were all investing in themselves and learning new strategies and techniques to grow their business. And number 8, I will say, is that attending events like this can create quantum leaps in your business through new ideas and new connections. It may not even be a particular segment that's presented. It may be a conversation over lunch, right? For me, I came up with new ideas that I'm going to execute on. I came to that event with a focus on PR. What can I do to be seen beyond the traditional LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, right? And I walked away with a connection with a very credible YouTube editor. We're going to take the route of attacking SEO and being more visible through Google and YouTube, through slicing and dicing all the training we've done on LinkedIn and be more visible and seen and searchable, right? That wouldn't have come to mind had I not had a conversation with a friend over lunch who doesn't even do launches like we do and doesn't even run ads like we do, but her SEO is so good. She has constant leads every week into her high ticket program, right? And so coming to an event like this can create quantum leaps in strategy in your business that you can't do sitting at home, sifting and sorting on the internet. Nothing replaces personal connection with someone's real experience and connection for you to a trustworthy contractor to support you. So let me kind of tie this all up for you and say this. The people in your life are a mirror of your mindset, my friends. If you're not happy with your people, be proactive in looking for a different crowd who is living the way you aspire to be. Okay? My team knows, they hear me say this all the time. I like to be the dumbest, brokest person in the room. When I'm the one coaching everyone at the table, it's time to move on, right? I like to be inspired. I just invested in a mastermind where I barely qualified. The minimum requirement was a 7-figure business, which we just hit the mark this past year. So I am the least educated and brokest person in the room. And what I look forward to doing is coming in and still bringing value, right? Like I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to attraction marketing with LinkedIn. A lot of people have high ticket programs, and I'm going to be able to provide value to them and how to leverage that platform. And they're going to be able to provide value to me and their niche expertise. And that's how masterminds work, right? So with that, if you're looking for a community to uplift you and you're loving this ear-to-ear conversation that you and I have while you're on your commutes or, multitasking, go check out my website. It's burnouttoallout.co and check out our high vibe communities. Whether you're looking for effective strategies to generate leads for your business, like our clients and our LinkedIn Method Academy, or you're looking for 360-degree support to fully scale your online business from marketing to sales to leadership and everything in between. Regardless, we have a cozy, uplifting new home for you with live coaching, live events, weekly accountability, networking events, and more than anything, humans who are super high vibe. They're to collaborate and upgrade your DNA, right? Because they have been selective in investing where they're spending their time and who gets their energy and who they are around, right? Who they're investing to be around. So with that, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Thanks for listening to the Burnout to All Out podcast. For free resources, materials, or information on my coaching services, go ahead over to livethefreelife.co. That's livethefreelife.co. Or check out our Facebook community at Burnout to All Out, and make sure you follow Burnout to All Out on Spotify and subscribe to iTunes. And it would truly mean the world to me if you paused for just a second, gave me that 5-star review of the show, and be sure to share this episode with any burnouts you think would be inspired to go all out after hearing this episode.